Double time swing. Not quite my tempo. Here we go. 5, 6, and...
What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and coming up next on the radio is the manga Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. We already covered December Sky a while back, but we probably should have started here. In this episode, we learn of the Moore Brotherhood and the Living Dead Division as they fight for the Thunderbolt sector, a debris field that was once Side 4. Both sides will resort to desperate measures to try to win this war. Pick up your drumsticks and let's get into this. UC-0079, Side 4, the Thunderbolt Sector. Daryl Lorenz is sniping in a Zaku 2 using the big gun. The MS-06 Zaku 2 Thunderbolt version is the primary mobile suit of Zeon's Living Dead Division. It has a specialized backpack with a propellant tank and 2 foldable sub-arms that can be moved back and forth. Weapons include a shoulder shield, a 120mm machine gun, a 280mm Zaku bazooka, a Sternfaust, a Heat Hawk, and the big gun. The big gun is a long-range beam cannon used by Zeon for sniping. It has 3 generators and doesn't draw power from the mobile suit. This thing wears out over time. It can sink a battleship with one shot. Daryl is listening to his radio while sniping. Meanwhile, the Moore Brotherhood fleet is preparing for a battle. Amongst the pilots is E.O. Fleming and his drumsticks. The RGM-79 GEM Thunderbolt version is a mass-produced mobile suit for the Federation and are used by the Moore Brotherhood. These differ from the standard GEM. Extra sensors are added to help in the debris field. It has a large backpack and 2 sub-arms. Also added are extra apogee motors and thrusters. It also has a basic core block system, which is a rudimentary ejection pod. Weapons include a beam spray gun, a twin beam rifle, 2 shields, and a beam saber on the OVA version. The manga doesn't have the couple making out at the beginning. EO launches. Captain Claudia informs the crew that Zeon is using the sector to cut off supply lines to a Baoku. They are nearing the end of the war. There are still refugees in the sector before it was decimated. They have to retake this area. The Moore Brotherhood tries to navigate the debris field. Watch out for that Salamis, bro! For EO, being in a mobile suit is when he feels the freest. The jazz intensifies and the battle begins. They are waiting for the sniper to show himself. Eventually, the sniper shows himself by taking out EO's gem. His core block system goes into action just in time. The rest of the team spread out. Another gem is taken out. Daryl takes a break while his comrade Hoover in a Dom takes over sniping. The MS-09R Rick Dom, like the Zaku, is equipped with a backpack with extra propellant and 2 sub-arms. Weapons include a Heat Hawk, a giant bazooka, a machine gun, and a scattering beam cannon. His team thinks that Daryl may be a new type. As the thunder rains down on the Thunderbolt sector, Daryl wakes up. Someone in a normal suit just shot Hoover. In the anime, his death is so much more casual. It is EO. He steals Hoover's mobile suit. Luckily, he trained on Zeon mobile suits in the simulator. EO and Daryl introduce each other while declaring to kill one another. EO destroys the big gun and heads back to the Beehive, their Columbus-class ship. Look at these mini thrusters on the core block system. Not too many gems made it back alive. Also, the Beehive actually makes the Columbus look badass. Even the pilots who made it back alive have gems with massive damage. While in recovery mode, a rogue unit comes towards the Beehive. It is EO. They're going to need more students from the Brotherhood. One mentions that EO's dad used to be head of Side 4. They plan on stripping the mobile suit. The captain tells him to come to our quarters. Oh, he's assigned a new mobile suit that will soon arrive. The captain and EO are left alone. EO does a little negging before getting up in that mouth. Order me to my death, senpai. What a weird relationship. Graham finds the current captain and the higher-ups incompetent. He blames the destruction of Moore and the death of his daughter and wife on them. Graham thinks that EO and his new Gundam will act as a martyr. A minesweeper acting as a shuttle comes to the Zaku sniping. Daryl is relieved of duty after a 3-day shift. He has the most kills on his team. On the minesweeper is also Hoover's body. They return to their Papua-class ship, the Dried Fish. That's an unfortunate name. On the ship, Dr. Carla Meacham cries over Hoover's body. Everyone thinks, wait, they were banging? That's news to me. The pilot who replaced Daryl is watching porn when a unit approaches fast and quickly takes out the Zaku. Carla asks Daryl if he could avenge Hoover and kill the Jazzman. He says, yeah, sure. Can I have some pain meds? I don't have any feet. At Abawaku, the Living Dead Division, hear Giram Zabi speak to the people. Dr. Meacham and the other scientists receive the Zeon Science Award. They have recently finished and are ready to roll out the Gelgoog. The MS-14A Gelgoog Thunderbolt version is specifically designed for operations in shoal zones, with extra verniers and seal joints added. The backpack also has a generator for the Gelgoog's beam rifle. Other weapons include a beam Naginata, a 120mm machine gun, and a shield. They all sig that Zeon. Later, Daryl does some testing on what they call Phase 6. The doctors tell Daryl to visualize his legs moving, and it will be translated into machine code. Carla calls this the reused psycho device. This is indeed some rudimentary Psychomu system. Daryl's family are refugees. He joined the military to help them get Zeon citizenship and residency. He was assigned to the landing operation where he ended up losing his legs. After testing, Sean Mitadera runs some tests. Sean doesn't have arms, so he uses the reused psycho device on his arms. The Living Dead team are watching their comrades' last moments. It happened right after Daryl was relieved. Before his death, they could hear jazz on the comms. They note that it was a Gundam. E.O. Fleming jazzes it up in the new Full Armor Gundam. The FA-78 Full Armor Gundam Thunderbolt variant is a completely different mobile suit than the green Full Armor Gundam that we saw during our adventures with Johnny Raiden. Unlike the green variant, this version lives up to its name and is packed with armor and shields. Its backpack and armor is enough to protect the unit for the debris field in the area. Weapons include beam sabers, a twin beam rifle, 5 rocket launchers, a large cannon, a 6.2 missile pod, and numerous missiles stored throughout the body. It also can achieve over 12 hours of continuous flight. Cornelius gives E.O. a rundown on the Gundam. There isn't enough gems to go around, and they may have to resort to balls on the next sortie. From Captain Claudia, we learn that E.O. flew planes at the age of 10 back on Side 4. Claudia, Cornelius, and E.O. grew up together, going to gala parties because of their parents. Also, Cornelius' last name is Kaka. That's how my grandma says poop. Daryl enters into one of the destroyed colonies in a Zaku. The MS-05 Zaku 1 Thunderbolt version is known as the Old Zaku. This version has seal joints to protect against the debris. This too has a backpack with extra propellant tanks and 2 sub-arms. Weapons include a 120mm machine gun, cracker grenades, a Heat Hawk, a 280mm bazooka, and the big gun. Even though this is inferior, this shouldn't be a problem for a sniper. The Minesweeper leaves Daryl to his shift. They use some sort of wired guided device to scan the area and create a 3D map of all the debris. The sound of thunder comes crashing down as Full Armor Gundam moves in. The big gun hits one of E.O.'s shields. E.O. fires his micro missiles. He barrels through a chunk of the debris and attacks Sean, who is in a different sector. Daryl notices an explosion where Sean should be. E.O. fires off a missile into the damaged Musa. He sets off an explosion as a distraction. He realizes that the Zeon snipers are well hidden behind the debris. One of Daryl's comrades are sniping from the penthouse of a skyscraper floating out in space. E.O. fires through a piece of debris and gets a direct hit on one of the snipers. Daryl sets his sights on the Gundam and fires. This should have killed E.O., but in the luckiest moment ever, lightning strikes, causing Daryl's beam blast to deflect and miss E.O. He was amazed by the fact that Zeon was almost able to snipe him from that distance. The Gundam rushes towards Daryl. He uses the debris to his advantage. Daryl just starts shooting at the debris. The Gundam charges head-on. The Zaku spots the Gundam, but it is actually just the Gundam shield attached to a piece of debris. That is when Daryl is flanked. E.O. fires and destroys the big gun. Daryl responds with cracker grenades. The light reflects on the colony mirrors, blinding the Gundam. Daryl is able to make his escape. The Dead Division is ambushed, while some of his comrades pray. Daryl is just listening to his old-timey radio. Captain Claudia sends in the Ball Squad. The RB-79 Ball Thunderbolt version were created in a rush to compensate for the shortage of mobile suits, and was deployed late in the one-year war. The manipulator arms make it great for recovery and debris removal. It also has 4 thrusters on its back, and 1 underneath, as well as numerous vernier thrusters. This is easy to modify and create variants. Weapons include a low recoil cannon, 2 machine guns, and a 6.2 rocket launcher. It also has a crane arm, which can replace the low recoil cannon. The Fetties are able to take down 2 Musais. Zeon begins their retreat. Captain Claudia was hoping to cause more damage. E.O. takes a nap in his mobile suit while on standby. Daryl remembers when he was gifted his old-timey radio. He wakes up and realizes he lost an arm. Much of the crew of the ship barely made it out alive. Zeon Captain Burroughs is embarrassed, as the Federation didn't even need the Gundam to cause this much damage to their fleet. They will only have 4 mobile suits, working at only 70%, and they only have 1 more big gun. Sexton suggests that they resort to the experimental mobile suit. This has the potential to allow green pilots to become masters with ease, but in order to do it, they have to remove Daryl's remaining arm. Carla doesn't want to do it, but Sexton tells her that if she doesn't help, it will do something to her father, who is in jail for treason. They begin the operation. And that will do it for our first dive into Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. This is actually one of the few mangas that was produced in the West, so you can go buy this. Even though this appears to be a part of Universal Century, as we go along, we will learn that this manga is doing its own thing. Next time, Daryl will lose all his limbs, Captain Claudia does some drugs, and we will see the reused P in action. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, if you hear the sound of jazz, you better run. Peace.